Children, let's read the second part. Before that, let you know about the new words. Brinzy, loud and frantic. Cackling, noise made by hens. Villainous intent, wicked and dangerous plan or idea. Interned means kept. Smacked means hit lightly. Now listen. One of these days, declared grandmother in her prophetic manner, we are going to find Timothy sitting on Mahmoud's bed and no sign of the cook except his clothes and shoes. So, grandmother declared in a prophetic manner. Prophetic manner means foretelling something. That means she knows tiger is a very incredible animal and he is sleeping in the cook's quarters. So, she is giving a warning, that is, one day we will find only the clothes and shoes of the cook. That means he will be eaten by the tiger. This one day she was propheted. That means she was foretold. Of course, it never came to that. But when Timothy was about 6 months old, a change came over him. So, what grandmother didn't happen. But what happened? When he reaches 6 months, a change came over him. He grew steadily less friendly. When out for a walk with me, he would try to steal away to stalk a cat or someone's pet dog. So normally he will be, Ruskin Bond will be taking the Timothy or the tiger out. So by the time others also carrying their pet animals, pet dog or pet cat. By the time what will Timothy do? Timothy tries to steal the pet animals of others. So when out for a walk with me, he would try to steal away to stalk a cat or someone's pet dog. Sometimes at night we would hear frenzied cackling from the poultry house, and in the morning there would be feathers lying all over the veranda. So at night what will happen? Frenzied cackling from the poultry house means poultry house is a house where hens and other poultry are kept. So, when at night they will be able to see, usually they will be able to see the sound. Which sound? Frenzied cackling. Cackling is the sound of hens or chickens. So, frenzied means it's a wild sound. That's a fearing sound of the birds from the poultry house. And in the morning, whenever they happen to go to there, they will be able to see the feathers of these birds. And in the morning there would be feathers lying all over the veranda. Timothy had to be chained up more often. And finally, when he began to stalk Mahmoud about the house with what looked like villainous intent, grandfather decided it was time to transfer him to a zoo. So after 6 months, what happened? When Timothy tried to steal other animals and attack other animals, he was chained. Then also he was trying to go after the cook Mahmoud, so that grandfather thought that he is dangerous, he is becoming dangerous, so he has to be chained. So grandfather decided it was time to transfer him to a zoo. He decided to transfer Timothy to a zoo because he became very cruel and he shows the animal nature of the wild animal. Reserving a first-class compartment for himself and Timothy, no one would share a compartment with them. Grandfather took him to Lucknow, where the zoo authorities were only too glad to receive as a gift a well-fed and fairly civilized tiger. So So a tiger who is grown and bring up in a jungle will be very cruel animal. But here this Timothy is well trained and well fed and written here civilized tiger. That means he has given very good bringing up, so that the authority of the zoo were very interested to take over him. So how did grandfather and Timothy went there? Grandfather reserved a first class compartment for himself and Timothy, where no one was there in the compartment. About 6 months later, when my grandparents were visiting relatives in Lucknow, grandfather took the opportunity of calling at the zoo to see how Timothy was getting on. So when their family went to Lucknow to visit their relatives, what did his grandfather do? His grandfather tried to have a look at he tried to visit the zoo to see Timothy. I was not there to accompany him, but I heard all about it when I returned to Dera. So, whenever grandfather went to the zoo, Ruskin Bond did not accompany him, but he was heard everything told by his grandfather. Let's see what happened in the zoo. Arriving in the zoo, grandfather made straight for the particular cage in which Timothy had been interned. Interned means he was kept inside a cage. The tiger was there, crouched in a corner, full grown and with a magnificent striped coat. Children, you know how it outlook of the tiger. The tiger has stripes over his body. So he handed over Timothy when he was 6 months age. Now he is just like a full grown tiger with magnificent stripes on his body. So grandfather went to the zoo and he visited where Timothy has kept. The tiger approached the bars and allowed grandfather to put both hands around his head. Normally people will be afraid of keeping hand over incredible animals, wild animals, just like tigers and lions. But what did grandfather do? Grandfather think that it is Timothy, he loved him, and so he put both hands upon his head. Grandfather stroked the tiger's forehead and tickled his ears, and whenever he growled, smacked him across the mouth, which was his old way of keeping him quiet. So whenever grandfather reached the tiger, he just put his hands around the neck and he was tickled his ears, just touched his ears, forehead everywhere with lovely manner. And when he growled, that means this animal is producing his own hesitation towards the visitor. So when he growled, what did grandfather do? Grandfather kept his fingers over the mouth of the Timothy, thinking that he was keeping animal to make him quiet when he was in his home. So the tiger approached the bars and allowed grandfather to put both hands around his head. Grandfather stroked the tiger's forehead and tickled his ears, and whenever he growled, smacked him across the mouth, which was his old way of keeping him quiet. He licked grandfather's hands, and only sprang away when leopard in the next stage snarled at him. That means there was a leopard caged near this Timothy. So this Timothy licked the grandfather's hand, and he only snarled. That means he only growled, made a noise when the leopard in the next cage disturbed him. Grandfather shooed the leopard away, and the tiger returned to lick his hands. Shooed means he has shown some kind of symbol to keep away the leopard. But every now and then the leopard would rush at the bars and he would slink back to his corner. So when tiger comes and shows expressions to the grandfather, this leopard also shows some kind of hesitations. So by the time the tiger cub will, not tiger cub, Timothy, grandfather is thinking he is Timothy. Timothy went and sit to the corner of the cage.